Innocent man jailed for 28 years, framed by the police. Seeking justice, the cops have to go to court that framed him. The judge decided to continue to push the case down, push it down the road, so much so that the man died before exacting justice against these cops who framed him. Let's put up his picture. His name is William Ricky Virgil. He spent 28 years in prison for murder he did not commit. DNA evidence cleared him. He has now passed away. He passed away before his wrongful conviction lawsuit was able to proceed. He filed a federal lawsuit against 2 former Newport, Kentucky police officers who allegedly framed him. They were scheduled to go to trial last August, but a judge decided to delay the proceeding, allow the officers to pursue an immunity claim in a higher court. That's a rare but legally allowable judicial move. Virgil's lawsuit called for monetary compensation from the cities of Norwood, Cincinnati, and Newport, and officers and their police departments for the years he spent in prison. The detectives who allegedly fabricated a case against Virgil argued they have qualified immunity. Virgil's attorney, Elliot Slosar, told a federal court last summer he feared that at 70 years old, his client would die before he gets a chance to confront the officers. Now, I want to remind you once again, we're back to the qualified immunity dynamic, right? Okay, so let me explain this. If the cops framed him, they should not qualify for qualified immunity. And here's why. Qualified immunity covers what's called in the course of your job. Framing someone, if you are the police and you are engaged in framing a person, that is not in the course of your job. A judge knows that. A judge is well aware that you do not get to claim qualified immunity if you actually frame somebody. So when the judge said, we're going to allow you to seek a qualified immunity defense through a judicial motion with a higher court, what that judge is saying is, I know good and damn well this is bogus as far as you getting qualified immunity. But if I delay this hearing, this other guy who's the victim of your frame will likely die before the case is adjudicated. Follow me so far? These are the games they play. All right, there's more. Let me give you some background on the original case, okay? Virgil was convicted for murder of his lover, Retha Welch. All right, let's put up a picture of Miss Welch. He was convicted of that murder. This was in 1988 based on a jailhouse snitch testimony and circumstantial evidence. Miss Welch was a psychiatric nurse, was raped and stabbed 28 times, struck on the head and left for dead on a bathroom floor. Virgil met Welch while she was ministering to inmates in jail. And he said they were in a relationship when she died. Virgil had recently been released from prison when Welch was killed. Virgil claimed his innocence from the beginning. Black man, white woman. Black man with criminal history, white woman dead, has a connection to the black man found guilty. Didn't do it. DNA evidence exonerated him, cops framed him, okay? How was he proven innocent? Here it is. With the help of the Kentucky Innocence Project, big ups to them. The court ordered a review of DNA in the case in 2010. DNA from the vaginal swab and hair found at the scene excluded Virgil as the killer. In 2015, the court granted Virgil a new trial. Virgil's former cellmate, Joe Womack, said Newport police detective Norman Wagner gave him cash and details of the case and promised to write a favorable letter to the parole board in exchange for his testimony. In light of the new evidence, a judge threw out Virgil's conviction. It gets deeper. During Virgil's civil suit, evidence of Welch's actual killer was revealed. 2 days before Welch's body was discovered by a coworker, Newport police fatally shot someone named Isaac Grubbs, who was armed with a knife at the time. The medical examiner estimated that Welch was killed 2 to 3 days before she was found. Grubbs' knife was entered into the exhibit in Virgil's trial. Lester Caudill, one of the officers who shot Grubbs, said on the oath he found out that Grubbs was a suspect in Welch's murder after the shooting. Prosecutors destroyed Grubbs' knife in 2005, but left 2 other knives included in the evidence. So what do we have here? We have detectives involved in the cover-up. We have prosecutors involved in the cover-up. And while it is so sad that this brother who was arrested and convicted and served 28 years, while that is a tragedy and he died before getting full justice, why are we not talking about locking up the prosecutor or filing criminal charges against the police officers who engaged in this cover-up? Show a picture of the judge that decided to enact this legal move so these cops would not be held accountable. That's a US District Judge David Bunning was the one who agreed to delay the case for the cops' appeal. The appeal is now therefore the US 6th District Court at the US 6th District Court of Appeals, and a trial may not take place until 2023 if it takes place at all. You see, the criminal justice system is not broken. It's working the way it was designed to work. The criminal justice system was created to penalize, criminalize Black people in particular, and historically marginalized people by extension. The criminal justice system does not need to be fixed, it needs to be broken, all right? Okay, Ms. Khan, thoughts here?
Lots of thoughts again. One time I was talking to a cop and he was trying to discuss systemic racism with me, and it was very clear very early on in the conversation that he didn't really understand what systemic racism was, even though he thought that the people thought of him as a perpetuator of it. Now, whenever we talk about systemic racism, there are so many different applications of it, and this is just one of them. It wasn't one cop who was racist against this one guy. It wasn't a jury that was racist against this one guy. It was the judges. It was the cops who were involved. It was the actual criminals, and all of that was stacked up against this one innocent person who was just a scapegoat. Whenever we talk about jailing and things like that, especially over the course of 20, 30 years, that's a lifetime for some people. I'm 33 years old. That's the majority of my life confined into a cell, not knowing what the rest of the world is for something that I didn't do, right? I consider myself a pretty empathetic person. I can't even imagine what that must be like. And then on top of that, the fact that he died before ever seeing justice, he doesn't know American justice. We put so much stock in our justice system, in our systems in general, right? We have the 3 branches of government, and everything is supposed to be so elite and so well thought out and so brilliant in its foundry and its execution. And the reality is that we have so many cases like this. When you think about how many people are incarcerated in the United States, how many of them are suffering a similar fate to Mr. Virgil here. It's kind of mind-boggling to think about. And then there's all these inefficiencies and intentional delays, bureaucracy. I mean, you're playing with people's lives, and it's really easy to forget that. The more you postpone something, that's another month, 2 months, years that somebody has to sit in a jail cell. So
yeah, and the attorney
we lose the humanity of it.
Yeah, and the attorney logged it for the record. He told the judge, my client is probably going to die if you do this.
Yeah.
And the judge did it anyway.